While I'm still waiting for more parts for the suspension to come, I decided to start working on the body. But before I start with the panels and the doors and sides and everything, I decided to put it one more time on its side and spray the footwell inside. I almost dropped it here. And the firewall outside, and this time I'm spraying it with the correct color. This is the second coat, and I think I'm gonna spray it one more time later. I have a whole bunch of parts that were outside on the firewall or in the footwells and under the dash that were not painted yet. Just because when I painted the last batch of parts, they were still not dismounted. So I wanted to paint them now, but before I do that, I wanted to check the motor for the windshield wipers if it was working, because when I bought the car, this cover was just sitting on top, not wasn't screwed. So somebody had his hands there already, and I wasn't sure if the motor was working. That's why I wanted to check it. There was one wire that was broken. That was the wire for the stop position, and I think that was the reason the motor was taken apart, because apparently it works fine and everything is okay with it. The cable moves back and forth, the rods are spinning for the windshield wipers. So I just went ahead and started cleaning it and painting it together with the rest of the parts. I wish I had those parts taken out before, when I was running the sandblaster, but as I said, they were still on the firewall and under the dash, so now I didn't want to make everything dusty again with the sandblaster. That's why I just used some rust converter. For these mounts for the master cylinders and for the windshield wiper motor, they were too rusty and grainy. That's why I just filled them up a little bit with fiberglass, so they can look a little bit smoother. Then, as usual, I sprayed 3 coats of primer and 3 coats of spray paint. All the parts that were under the dash I sprayed black, but the parts that were gonna be outside on the firewall, I just matched the same color as the firewall, except of the motor, which was gonna be black and silver. Between the coats, while I was waiting the paint to dry, I started changing the rubber boots on the steering rack. I wasn't gonna do that now. I was waiting for the tie rod ends to come, the new ones, but now I just decided to do it while I was waiting. When removing the tie rods, I counted the turns on the threads for each one, and I recorded that in my phone, so I can put the new ones when they come exactly the same way as were these ones. I know, of course, that the alignment need to be checked after again, but At least I know that I'm gonna be close enough. So I checked the bow here, everything was fine, and I wiped the old grease and I slipped the new boot on. I used a small trick because the boot needs to be stretched around the joint. That's why I made this funnel out of pop can, which helped me to stretch the boot, and then I just pulled the pop can out with pliers. I put the old end there temporarily, and then I just repeated the same thing on the other side. Then I started with the body, but I didn't want to work on the floor because I knew that I was gonna need a lot of elbow grease, and I didn't want to hurt my back too, so that's why I lifted it up and I wanted to put it on something high. I was thinking about the table, but then I came up with even better idea. I put it on the trolley, so I can even roll it back and forth into the shop where I want it. First I put the driver's door there and I aligned it as much as possible. I know that there's one position there which was pretty much satisfying for me from when I was welding and grinding and doing that stuff. So I tried to find the same position, and I actually found it, and that was my starting point. I started from there. It appeared that there was a ton of body filler on the door, on the bottom part, especially where it was sticking outside of the rocker. And I have no idea why it was there, because it was sticking outside anyhow. So I ground manually all the bondo away. I got down to bare metal, and I started building up to align the rocker and the door, and I didn't need to do a lot building up. I needed to do grinding down actually, which worked fine. This is how the door closes now, nice and easy. There was a little bit of play in it, and that was because there was no rubber gasket inside. So I put the gasket there so the door is on the exact position where it is gonna be in the future, so I can build up a little bit, just a little bit, the rocker to align it with the door, but I didn't want to have a wrong position of the door when I was doing that. Then I used the ruler to see where I need to build, and then I just started applying body filler. I've done that before, but on very small areas on cars, and obviously I'm not very good in that, but don't be too critical. I'm sure that by the time the car is ready, I'm gonna learn how to do it properly. Apparently even that height was too low for me. That's why I took a chair and sat down. I was working mostly on the door alignment compared to the rear quarter panel and rocker, and I kept building up and sanding down, trying to fill up the low spots and sand down the high ones. Even the chair wasn't too comfortable because I had to go left, right, back, forth, so I kept looking for a comfortable position to work in. And surprisingly, I found it. That was the best working position I've ever worked in. I almost fell asleep while I was grinding. Yeah, it's true, all the dust was coming into my face, but that was happening even before, so I didn't care too much. And that's how the car looked at the end of the day. I know there's a lot of fine work to be done there, but the shape, which was my main goal, was brought back to where it was supposed to be. If you remember how the door was sticking out of the rocker before, I think there's a big improvement. So I left the fine work to be done later when I have my body work skills improved, and I went to work on the rear part of the car and especially on the trunk alignment. So there's a small problem here. This trunk lid cannot align over there. I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera. I can tell that something has been done here, because this shape is totally wrong. Look at this side. It's nice and round, and oops, the other way around. Here the tail light matches very well, but here I can tell that something has been done here, and not very well done. The other thing is, when I open the trunk, you see how there is a nice edge going here all the way to almost the tail light, and on this side this edge comes up to here, and from here it disappears and it becomes round. So I will have to grind this and see if this is just built up with body filler or the sheet metal is like that. Yeah, I can tell it's very thick, so probably that's just body filler built there for some reason. I'm gonna have to grind it down, but the other thing is what worries me the most. The trunk lid sits way higher than the fender here, so there's no much room for adjustment from here. Actually, there is no way to adjust the lid on the from the hinges, and look, this side is matching perfectly. So I'm gonna have to find a way to make that side look like this side. This is what's going on. It's been welded from here to somewhere here. That's a separate piece of sheet metal that was added, and it wasn't bent in the proper way. So I'm gonna make a template from the other side, and I'm gonna try to transfer it here somehow. As I was expecting, the shape of the lid, the curve, wasn't very good. Obviously there was an accident on this side of the car and the trunk got pushed in. So I had to find a way and bring it back to where it's supposed to be. So this line is the line where the trunk needs to align with the fender. Again, there was a ton of body filler which I started removing. It was an ugly picture down there, but I decided just to keep the metal as it is and build up with body filler. I had to notch the lip of the trunk lid a little so I can pull it out, and that worked actually. I managed to pull it back to the line which I drew earlier, and that also brought it lower in the middle. Then I welded the notches quickly and came back to my bodywork. I applied some Bondo, waited for it to harden, and then I ground it quickly. Okay, so there's still more work to be done there. I have to get rid of all the scratches and small cavities, but the most important thing, the shape, is done. Like you see this edge that was missing from here down, now it's on this light, you can see it very well. I think it continues all the way here and goes down like exactly on this side. There's still a little bit, the lid is higher than the fender there, but from here it goes even. But on the other side it's the same, and I think I can live with that. This side here, I still have a lot more work to do, but again, what I was trying to do is to make the shape, to bring it back to what's supposed to be, and the alignment. If you remember one of the first videos, the door was sticking out of the rocker with more than half an inch, like now it's perfectly aligned. I'm not, as I said many times, I'm not very good at body working, but I'm satisfied with these results.